Welcome back to Open Line. Talking about the presidential race, we're going to start taking a bunch of calls here, but the big news of the day in the presidential race, I suppose, was that Mitt Romney said it disqualifies a candidate if they don't release their tax returns. He released his, did it a little late. There was maybe some damaging information on there. I don't know. What do you think? Trump has not released his yet. Does that become a major issue? Does it hurt him?
It could. It doesn't. Nothing seems to have stuck yet, but it will be. It could be one of these things that keeps being repeated, especially if there becomes the implication that there's something in them. It could end up being something that might be harmful. Some revelation. Some Republican leaders fear that they could be leaked, that information in them could be leaked closer to the election by Democratic IRS workers who would somehow get that information into the media.
How likely? I mean, that seems likely to me.
Yes.
You have documents that are out there, and this is going to be a hotly contested race, and if that becomes a big issue, some of Romney's stuff was leaked, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It seems likely that would happen.
Yeah.
And that would, I guess, be illegal. I don't know. How does that not happen?
No, I think the information could come out. The question is whether there's anything. Romney actually had earlier in the campaign had suggested that there must be something very damaging in that, and that's been one of the reasons why he won't endorse Trump. And I do think the argument is that there could be something in there either about Trump's wealth, about how he's handled his taxes, what he's done in charities, this sort of thing, that could be embarrassing, and I don't know how damaging, but certainly there.
Let's go back to the phones here. Okay, Daniel. Okay, go right ahead, Daniel.
Yes, first off, thanks for taking my phone call. Y'all are talking quite a bit about Trump on here, I'm watching. And I'm all in for Trump, but I want to know, with all the media and all the social media going on with Hillary being investigated and Benghazi and everything else, how is she even allowed to run for president of our country?
Right. So she has her share of baggage, scandal, issues, whatever you want to call it. The email issue is certainly big. You know, what about all of that?
Well, the Trump people today, she released an ad, one of her PACs released an ad with his nasty things about women in it, and the Trump people released an ad accusing her of lying on Benghazi. It's going to be a very, very negative campaign, and no question that both sides are going to hit at these negatives on both of the candidates. And again, going back to what we were saying before the break, it could turn off a lot of people.
The question is what will stick. Do people care if Trump doesn't release his taxes? Do they really care? Do they, Benghazi, we've heard about it for a long time. Does that stick, or is it just something that, people that are on either extreme really get upset about, but those middle voters don't? The question is, what of the problems that each of these candidates brings to the table will actually affect those middle voters? And I don't know that.
And that is what each candidacy now, or each candidate's campaign, is trying to target and see which types of ads, which types of things seem to work.
Let's go to Dennis. Hello, Dennis.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, my question is really is just more of a statement, is why, and I'd like to have your guys' opinion of why Trump resonates so well among people. I mean, he's got the vast majority of the votes, from state to state and that, and he's way out in front. And my opinion is he resonates because he's not politically correct. He says what many of us would love to have a big stage and say. I mean, I'll give you some examples, just like the DOJ, suing North Carolina because of the bathroom law. I mean, what business do they have suing North Carolina? You've got states out west that legalize marijuana. How come she ain't suing them? They do just what they want to do politically, and we have not taken back our government. And I think that's why he resonates so well.
All right, well, let's talk about that. I appreciate that. Resonates. Why do you think?
Well, what's interesting is what the caller's example was a situation in which Trump himself said he wouldn't care about the bathroom law. He actually takes a position on that that's far more left or moderate. He doesn't, from his point of view, it doesn't matter. So it's interesting that some of the things that irritate people, Trump actually doesn't stand with them. But I think the idea that somehow he's plain spoken, even when he says different things in different audiences and says a different thing one day and then the opposite the next day about the minimum wage, one day it's not going to be raised, the next day it is. That's what's interesting is he has a reputation for being plain spoken, but he is never consistent and he switches his views. So I'm not sure what that means.
I think people do get that money in politics has messed things up, corrupted, has inordinate influence.
Right.
And they feel like those who don't put lots of money in politics, they don't have that influence. Right. And I think there is... people do like when Trump says, I'm not taking that PAC money, I'm self-funding, and I think they like that.
They like that, but now he is.
now he is going to start taking some of that.
So he is. So it's not his plain-spokenness and bluntness and honesty or whatever they think is, of course, also part of the act.
Right, right. Let's go to Cherry. Hello, Cherry.
Yeah, this is Cheryl.
I'm so sorry. I wrote Cherry.
That's okay.
It's Cheryl. Go right ahead. I left off the L. Go right ahead, Cheryl.
Okay. Well, my question is, I like Trump, and he's talking about the Mexicans, and I'm trying to find. I just want to know what your opinion is about how will he address the ones that's over here on visas, and they overstay their visas, and I think it's more them than it is a Mexican. So I want to hear what your opinion is about it, and I hang up.
Okay. We only have about 2 minutes left. What do you think?
Well,
there?
I mean, Trump is obviously targeting the specific point that there are a fair number of people in this country who have come here without legal status, and that's particularly in areas of the Southwest and others where they've undercut or been able to work at jobs, and that's his main thing. The problem of overstaying visas is usually from immigrants who are far more affluent and more easily integrated into the society and who stay longer and may be illegal but are not as visible as some of the poorer Mexicans who are doing farm work in the Southwest or in cities doing construction jobs and this sort of thing. So
visas are one thing, and then the others, of course, the people that are here illegally, undocumented workers, and he's saying to deport them, which is impossible.
Right.
There are millions of them, and it's impossible.
Yes.
How does that well, we only have 30 seconds. How's that going to work?
It doesn't. It doesn't. Most of what he's saying cannot be done. But it goes to this idea that the election has become something, and I know it may sound partisan to say, but to President Obama's point, it's not a reality show, but it is coming off as a reality show. He's able to say things that have nothing to do with what legally a president can do or what he could actually affect. And that's, but people many of the callers seem to be attracted to that.
Absolutely. That would be, that's certainly what we've seen in the calls. So thank you for the calls. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap everything up. Be back right after this.